Hello and welcome to We Are Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Jeremy.
And my name is Justin.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, no kidding.
As you probably know from the title, this is our second, I guess, big episode. This is our second movie episode.
Mm-hmm. Fourth episode overall, but our second movie in the release schedule timeline.
Yes, we should. Yeah, that's probably a good idea to make that clear, that this is the release schedule timeline.
Yeah. Later on, we plan on doing an episode of the actual watching timeline. Obviously, with Captain America: First Avenger taking place in World War II, that's first, and then this, then this, then this, to actually give you a sense of the timeline progression.
Yeah.
I don't know when we'll do it, though, because there's movies even in Phase 3 that you can put into Phase 1. Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So I don't know when we'll do it, but we might just end up doing it just for fun 1 week.
Yeah. I like it. We'll do that 1 week. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks.
Mm-hmm.
You have to hold us to it. All right. Well, we're just going to jump right into it, right? Because I know this is my first time doing this kind of movie style.
Mm-hmm.
Justin's done it on his other podcast, so he's a pro at this.
That other podcast is Pod and Gore, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Any of you horror fans out there probably heard a commercial before the episode started. But we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, just jump right into it, right? Just start talking about the movie.
Let's do her.
As the episode says, we're talking about The Incredible Hulk. I don't even know if we mentioned that, but they know what they did now. Yeah. So what The Incredible Hulk is, kind of backstory is Bruce Banner, a scientist on the run from the U.S. government, must find a cure for the monster he turns into whenever he loses his temper. That was just kind of the first synopsis that I found, so I plugged that in.
If you don't know The Incredible Hulk, what are you doing? We do want to introduce people to the MCU, but it's been going on for like 12 years now.
True. But, I guess with this episode, if you don't know The Incredible Hulk, listen up, because we're going to tell you a lot about it.
Yeah.
And it's going to get spoiled for you, probably.
I talked about this before we started. You don't like this movie. Most people don't like this movie. I really like this movie. Yes, it is the wayward stepchild of the MCU for many reasons we'll get to later.
Yeah.
But it's a solid Hulk movie. It is everything a Hulk movie, for the most part, should be. He's on the run from the government. He's got his relationship with Betty that's strained because of him being on the run from the government and the monster that he turns into. He's trying to control that monster. I mean, it's and then he fights a big monster at the end. I mean, it really ticks all of the Incredible Hulk boxes you would need for a solo movie.
Yeah, I mean, you are right.
I know.
I cannot say that, no, you're wrong.
Right. Well, and
It doesn't make it a very enjoyable movie. I still did enjoy it. It's still an entertaining movie.
Well, I mean, it's the thing that I've been kind of championing about the MCU from the beginning is that even if you don't like the movie, like I heard people give me crap about the first Captain America movie, and some of these others, they are what the comics are for the most part. Something like Guardians, they played around with it a lot more because no one knew who they were, so they could.
Yeah.
But by and large, the movies you're seeing are, for the most part, what the comic books are. And not every comic book is for everybody. I'm one of those people that likes everything. At least a little bit. I can find that value in just about anything. And so if you don't like this version of Hulk, maybe it's just not your cup of tea story-wise.
All right.
And that
maybe
happens.
It's not.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We accept you the way you are. But I'm still going to champion this movie because I enjoy it.
All right. All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's talk about more of this. So this was directed by, is it Louis Leterrier?
I think so.
He's French. I do know that. So I think the Louis I was going to stick with. But Louis Leterrier. And screenplay was by Zach Penn. There was doing my research on this. I guess Edward Norton did do a lot of, I guess, edits to the script,
rewrites, and his own
rewrites and stuff like that, almost
contributions.
like every day. And I guess on some posters he was even credited as being one of the writers. But this was, I guess, the Screen Actors Guild or something like that. They said no, Edward Norton didn't actually change anything significant enough to make him a writer. So just a little fun fact. There's more of those coming later on. Don't you worry.
Spoilers.
So this movie was starring Edward Norton, Liv Tyler, Tim Roth, William Hurt, and Tim Blake Nelson. Released June 13th, 2008. The budget was $150 million, and box office for a Marvel movie, it was just $264.8 million.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a lot. Yes, it made money, but
Yeah,
compared to all the other Marvel movies, it wasn't much.
Yeah, and it's funny because this was the character people knew. I don't know if we talked about it in Iron Man, but they made Iron Man, and then right as that was wrapping, they started this. And the hope was Iron Man would do okay, good enough to keep them going, but Hulk was going to be the one, because everybody knows who the Hulk is.
Right.
That's the one that was going to help them kick off the universe, and it ended up being the exact opposite. I mean,
yeah, that's funny how it works.
Yeah, and it's just quality. I'm going to champion this movie, but it is out of Phase 1. It is the lesser out of everything. Yeah. I would probably put it in the bottom 3.
Okay,
maybe 4, but I don't think it's the worst one. It'll be a little bit before we get to the worst one, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay,
but
we'll get to that when we get to it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a little about the movie now. Director Louis Leterrier actually expressed interest in directing the Iron Man film adaptation, but as we learned on the Iron Man episode, that was directed by Jon Favreau. So Marvel offered him this film instead. Leterrier was reluctant as he was unsure if he could replicate Lee's style, but Marvel explained that was not their intent. Leterrier said that he planned to show Bruce Banner's struggle with the monster within him, while Feige added the film would explore, quote, that element of wish fulfillment, of overcoming an injustice or a bully, and tapping into a strength that you didn't quite realize you had in yourself, unquote. Zach Penn, who wrote a draft of the first film in 1996, said the film would follow up Hulk, but stressed it would be more tonally similar to the TV show and Bruce Jones's run on the comic. He included 2 scenes from his 1996 script, which were Banner jumping from a helicopter to trigger a transformation, and realizing he is unable to have, we'll go with intimate relations with Betty.
Very controversial thing. I always thought that the helicopter thing came from the Ultimates, because that's something that they did there. I haven't read it in a long time, but for whatever reason, Bruce couldn't turn into the Hulk, or they wanted him to and forced him, and they pushed him out of a helicopter.
Okay.
I always thought it was from that, but I was wrong.
I mean, it could be both. Maybe Penn stole it from that.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
It's and the intimate relations thing, I get the problems. That is that one, I'm not gonna. It's not the most egregious thing I've heard in a comic book movie, but it also didn't need to be there at all.
Yeah, I agree. But,
and it's basically retconned by Age of Ultron.
Yeah, but it was an entertaining kind of scene, and it kind of made it a little lighter for the movie. So I get why they included it, but not necessary. After the studio rejected a treatment by another screenwriter in 2006, Penn wrote 3 drafts before departing in early 2007 to promote his film The Grand. Norton that April began discussions to play Banner and arranged a deal that included him as both an actor and a writer, as we mentioned before. With the screenplay draft, he was contractually obligated to turn in within a month. He did so and continued to polish his draft as late as halfway through the principal photography. Because he just kept working on it every day. So
Yeah.
um,
I've always liked Edward Norton.
yeah,
I mean, almost everything I've seen him in, even if I don't like the movie, I like him.
yeah,
But
yeah,
after hearing how he was on this and trying to get him signed on to Avengers,
yeah.
like, yeah, he wanted a lot more, and that's a problem that Marvel faced very early on. Anyway, and they still get flack for, is that Kevin Feige and Marvel have control.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a plan, and you stick to that plan. You can, add your flourishes, but there is a
Right.
line that you must connect back to, and if you don't, you're out.
Yeah.
It sucks,
they've
but
got
it's
a
the
big
reason
plan.
it works.
Yeah. Because if they have this big plan and everything needs to connect certain ways, and you just go off, then they can no longer connect that.
Yeah.
It just ruins it.
And it's the reason why up until like Civil War, this movie didn't exist in the timeline. Like it didn't matter. It was because Hulk is in no other movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. We probably won't cover that on this, so I'll say it now. Universal Studios owns the rights to the Hulk.
Mhm.
When Marvel went bankrupt in the 90s, they had to sell off the rights to a bunch of their characters, and Universal got Hulk, which is why all the other movies in Phase 1 are Paramount, and Incredible Hulk is Universal.
Right.
Marvel cannot make a solo Hulk movie unless it is through Universal. And now that they're owned by Disney, that's just not a thing that's going to happen. I don't know why it's still the case. A lot of times it was if they didn't make a movie within 5 years of the last one, the rights reverted back, which is
Right.
why we got that shitty Josh Trank Fantastic Four movie. But I don't know if it's because he keeps showing up in Avengers movies. It makes it last longer or
Okay.
what. And I don't know how She-Hulk is going to work. Because that's
Yeah.
a thing that's coming to Disney Plus. So maybe it doesn't count TV or streaming because streaming's new. So it wasn't part of the contract.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just a
Yeah.
guess. But that's the reason we haven't
interesting.
seen a Hulk sequel since ever.
All right, fair enough.
So
All right. Filming began on July 9th, 2007. Shooting primarily took place in Toronto because Mayor David Miller is a Hulk fan and promised to be very helpful to the crew when closing Yonge Street for 4 nights in September to shoot Hulk and Balanski's climatic fight. Despite messing up the street with explosives and overturned burning vehicles, the crew would clean it up within 20 minutes, so business could continue as normal each day.
that's crazy.
That seems too fast, but it was. I think on Wikipedia is where I found most of this info. So
Watch the special features, man. When back, I don't remember the exact time it took, but they have a time lapse video of it, and I mean they have a team, and it's okay. We start here, we end here, and it's done, and it's
jeez,
back to normal in no time.
it's crazy, man. That's pretty cool, though.
I should have them clean my house.
Yeah, I could use that for sure. The first action sequence shot was the Culver University battle, which was filmed at the University of Toronto and Morningside Park. The filmmakers built a glass wall over a walkway at the university for when the soldiers trap a banner inside to smoke him out. A factory in Hamilton, Ontario, which was due for demolition, was the interior of the Brazilian factory, and the site's underground floors were used for Ross's military command center. I like that. They kind of used the same spot for different things.
Yeah.
The Incredible Hulk joined Toronto's Green Screen Initiative to help cut carbon emissions and waste created during filming. And they actually ended up becoming the first blockbuster film to receive the Environmental Media Association's Green Seal, which is displayed during the end credits. The original opening was going to be where Banner comes to the Arctic to commit suicide. When the scene ends, in an instant, the frozen body of Captain America is partially seen in the ice. Leterrier said he did not want this scene to be lost amid the opening montage. But still, I think it would be cool. I know you probably do, but well, you might not. I don't know. I think it'd be cooler.
Well, once you finish your sentence there, I'll let you know. Is that it?
That's all I got.
Okay. And it's available on the special features as a deleted scene. So I have watched it a couple times.
Yeah.
As a Cap fan, the more Cap, the better. I mean, I think part of why I like this movie is that it connects with the Super Soldier program and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would completely change how we get Cap in modern day.
Yeah. This is the reason why I think you might not have wanted it.
And I mean, it's tough. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely different ways they could have done it. If they showed him, they also could have just said, screw it, we'll do it our way anyway. And it would have been one of those, obscure details that's lost to time of, again, Incredible Hulk is a movie that most people forget is in the MCU.
Right.
So they could have gotten away with changing it. It wouldn't have mattered. But
yeah, that's true.
the ending to Cap 1 is too good to say, oh, they could have done it better. I mean, in a couple episodes, I'll wax on poetic about how much I love that movie. But there's very little that I would change about it.
I believe it.
So.
I wouldn't be able to argue to change much either. So
that's my thing. It's like, because the idea of it is cool. The idea of him going to the Arctic because it's so cold and he's far away from people, but it dulls his senses, and the hope would be that it subdues Hulk so he doesn't change, and him trying to shoot himself in the ice. It is a cool idea and a cool scene, and they reference it a little bit in Avengers.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that.
Yeah. So it would have been cool, but I can live without it.
Yeah, it doesn't. The reference doesn't change. It still could have happened. It just wasn't shown in the movie.
Yeah, and it just
happened. It
obviously
did because
it happened. It just didn't happen the way that, because for those that haven't seen it, he tries to shoot himself, and I haven't watched it in a long time, so I'm going to forget some of it. I don't think you see all of Hulk, but you realize he's transformed into the Hulk, and he gets angry and smashes up the ice. And as the ice smashes up, there's a giant chunk that comes at the screen, and you can see Cap's shield and an outline of a person. Obviously, this was years before we had Chris Evans cast, so there was no face.
Right, yeah.
But it was like a silhouette, and you could clearly see Cap's shield.
Nice. It sounds cool. Yeah, I definitely have to check on the special features for that.
Yeah. It's back in the day before Disney got involved, and we just got featurettes.
Okay.
So, I mean, Iron Man's has this 8-part, hour-plus long documentary on the making of, and Hulk isn't too far behind.
Wow.
They went in depth at Paramount.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, that's kind of all I got for kind of the backstory and all that. So now we're going to do a little talking points.
Okay.
And the first one I got here is the opening origin story.
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask for your opinion, but I like the way they did it. Because as like you mentioned before, everybody knows Hulk already. We know who he is, how he becomes who he is. And I like that they did the opening scene to just kind of show glimpses here and there of his origin story. So it wasn't, the whole movie wasn't his origin story. We're halfway through, he's finally going to become the Hulk. He already is.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that they did it that way.
Me too, because, I mean, if you think about it, it had only been 5 years since Ang Lee's Hulk. Mm-hmm. His came out in 2003. And as terrible as that movie is, it does the origin. I mean, you see Eric Bana step in front of Rick Jones in the big collider room thing and gets his powers and has to deal with it and all that stuff. And that's a great story, but it's like what they've done since then with characters like Spider-Man and Black Panther in a way. It's you don't need to have such an excruciating origin to get to the interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And with Hulk, it it helps to have him a year or so down the line where he's already dealing with the problems and on the run from law enforcement, and like it sucks you into that world much faster.
Yes.
And it's a cool nod to the original series with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. The contraption he's in is more or less what that show was, and that green light cross thing on his face is exactly the way that show started.
You are taking some of my Easter eggs.
Sorry.
I added it. I think it's like very towards the end. If I added, I think I added. I don't know now. Now that you say it, now that I'm thinking about it and saying,
well, I won't say any of the other ones.
Have.
The other little
no,
there's a ton of when you didn't have Easter eggs in your notes before. I went, how do you not have Easter eggs in your notes? Before we even see the Hulk at Culver University, I could name like 10 things that were little nuggets of this is this is that, this could be this.
Well, I think I might have had them under my fun facts, and I just didn't call them Easter eggs. For sure. But anyways, I'm sure everyone cares very much about this.
I do. I think so.
All right. Next talking point is our first kind of sighting of Hulk. So it's Banner for I don't know what 15 minutes or so before we actually see the Hulk come out.
Yeah. And like I said, I think Marvel found a way to make origin stories interesting. I've been thinking about this recently where when I was a kid, I don't know if you were the same way, but like when I saw Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and stuff, I was like, yeah, I like the movies, but I didn't really care until they became superheroes and put on the suits.
I probably have to think about it, but I mean, just quickly thinking back, I don't remember the origin story parts. I only remember, once he's Spider-Man.
Yeah. And it's just, I would almost like just do something else or fast forward or whatever, skip to that scene because DVDs were a thing by then. And I always hated the origin story part, but these movies found a way to make that part almost more interesting than the action stuff. Yeah. Because you care.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if it's a tone thing, if it's the rapid editing kind of techniques that they just didn't have back then, or what? But
yeah, it could be that because I mean, watching older movies, they are a lot slower than current ones are, and I've heard that it's because the quicker that it is, the your mind pays attention more because the quick transitions stuff like that. What I'm sure is the case, but. I would hope it's more than just that.
We're
just
dumb
we just edit it
fast
quickly.
Pictures.
Yeah,
to be interested.
But and it is probably that and better storytelling and
the acting's
a better way
better,
of having you invest. And, so it's probably a lot of that kind of stuff. But I enjoyed seeing Hulk appear kind of at first, and I like that. They showed it from far away in that scope, and you can kind of see him transition. And then he was in the shadows, and he would just pull people out. It was cool. Where it wasn't just the first time he changed, you didn't see it like we do later in the movie, which I thought was an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it builds it up, and I think I've always wanted to know what it'd be like to watch these movies, not knowing the things I know.
Yeah, I do too.
Even today, it's like, God, I wish I could come into this fresh and not know everything that's happening before it happens.
Yeah.
Because what would it be like to not know who the Hulk is and watch this movie and go, oh my God, this guy is turning into this big, green something, and we can't even see it, and he's in the shadows. Like how creepy and scary that might be.
Honestly, we might even think just like... what's his face? Tim Roth's character. I can't think of his name now.
Emil Blonsky?
Blonsky, yeah. We'd probably be just like him. It's like, well, where did this guy come from? Was this guy in the warehouse the whole time?
Yeah.
We wouldn't even think that he transformed. If you didn't really know Hulk, you wouldn't think a human transformed into that.
Yeah.
You would think, oh, this guy was in there. That's why he went to the warehouse. Because this guy was there.
Yeah, so I mean, you can kind of put things together through the context of the opening montage.
Maybe.
But yeah, it would just be really interesting. And I mean, again, as a horror fan, I think I talked about this on Iron Man. They kind of monsterized even Iron Man's reveal, and Hulk being a monster,
Mhm.
it definitely had that creepy scare factor of this giant monster in the shadows ripping people into the darkness and flinging them across the room.
Yeah,
I mean, it
definitely
was just,
dying.
I mean, at the time, seeing an action-packed Hulk movie was a big deal because Ang Lee's movie is boring as shit.
Yeah,
It has its moments, but it's
Yeah.
very boring.
It is. Like when I think of that movie, I don't think of the action, unfortunately.
I think Hulk dogs. That's the first
Yeah.
thing that comes into my and fighting clouds. But this, like, just seeing him fight a big monster at the end was like, how is this not what we've seen in a Hulk movie before?
Yeah. Yeah.
This
We'll
seems
get
like
to
the
that. Don't talk
obvious
about that part
choice,
yet.
but I don't know.
All right, my next talking point is that everything Ross is wondering where they are, they then appear. Like
I was wondering what that sentence meant.
because he's there. It's when they're at the university
Mhm.
and all these things show up. And he has like, "Where's my 50 cows?" The 50 cows show up,
Oh.
and then where's my helicopter? The helicopter shows up. Where's my this? And then they show up. It's like, did you guys not
Just
fucking
wait.
plan this? Yeah.
Why don't you just wait 2 seconds, you jerk?
Yeah. So there was, it was one of the things where I was like, okay. Yeah. And I did it like, I noticed that I remember the first time and then he did it again. And then the third time, like, what the fuck's going on here? I don't remember this, but now that I'm watching this to talk about it, like, I'm noticing this and it's a little cheesy.
I'm going to have to pay attention to that next time. That happened to me with Aquaman. When
Okay.
people burst into rooms through walls like 4 times.
I remember that being a thing. Yeah. It's like, use that fucking door.
Like the first time was cool. Second time was, okay, fine. And then by the 4th time, I was like, again?
Yeah.
Really?
So that was just kind of what I wanted to throw that out there. I just thought it was entertaining that everything. Where are my whatever?
Oh, there
and
it
then
is.
they
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
next scene. There
sorry.
it is.
I'm just really excited. I get anxious. It's like Luis from Ant-Man. Sorry. I get excited.
I love Luis. We get our first meeting of Mr. Blue in all the blood that he has from concentrating banners.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot. I don't know if that's how it works.
I don't either. And yeah, I mean, because they do say it is all Bruce's blood.
Yep.
And we definitely skipped from like the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. But I wanted to add more to this, but really, it is slow in its way.
Yeah.
New age slow, as in not much really happens other than what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because the guy, Samuel Stearns, is a supervillain in the Hulk mythos.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know Hulk, you know the comics, hearing the name Samuel Stearns, you go, oh, well, that's interesting. And that leads to a fun Easter egg towards the end that unfortunately never goes anywhere.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to talk about was, do you think that will go anywhere?
Well, so they started doing tie-in comics to the movies.
Okay.
I think the first one they did was for Iron Man 2, but they did one for Avengers, which is, if you're going to read any of them, read the one for Avengers. It's called Fury's Big Week. And it essentially ties together Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk, Thor, and finding Captain America in the ice. All of those things happen at about the same time.
I read that. Yeah, they all happened like within the same week.
Yeah. And that's Fury's Big Week. And that's why, because if you look at, and we'll probably talk about it next movie with Iron Man 2, at the end, when Tony's in that warehouse thing.
Hold on. Did you say it's not next week? I think you said next week.
Oh, sorry. Next movie that we talk about.
Yeah.
In a month. Sorry.
I know. When I
up.
talked about Iron Man, I almost had last episode on Iron Man.
But our next movie episode, which will be in like 4 weeks, Iron Man 2, When he's at the end, when he's in the warehouse talking to Fury, there's all those monitors. And one of the monitors is the news report from Hulk's attack on Culver University.
Okay.
And you see it's the same reporter who's doing the interview in The Incredible Hulk. And so that's broadcasting. There's also a map of New Mexico with the landing site for the hammer, and obviously that's where Coulson goes. And this is where the timeline gets screwy, because this was the second movie released, but it kind of is like the fourth or fifth movie you need to watch, or sixth if you bring in Captain Marvel. So it does get tricky. I don't remember where my point was. Oh, in the Fury's Big Week,
yeah.
There is a scene that shows the leader, which is Samuel Stearns, with a giant misshapen head in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody.
Okay.
And I don't remember if you see him, but there's also a reference to Emil Blonsky's Abomination, also in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody.
That's another talking point I have as well. So perfect.
Yeah. It all is, and that's what sucks is that's never mentioned in any of the movies,
right?
Because this movie doesn't exist as far as most of the MCU is concerned. It's kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, it's there, but is it really?
Yeah. If we took it out, would it matter? No,
not really. After season 2, no, not really.
I think it dipped down and then it got better. I think.
Really, I didn't get through 4. One of these days, I want to get back into it. Well, and now we talked about She-Hulk before. Tim Roth is in She-Hulk.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, that was announced at the presentation.
As a Blonsky, or
yeah, I mean
awesome.
So whether they have him as Abomination, found a way to Bruce Banner him so he can change back and forth, probably would be my guess.
Okay,
because that's a lot of money, and they also have to She-Hulk every episode, unless they have her change back and forth.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the quality of Vision looks pretty good. I know it's not movie quality, because I've seen some kind of comparison photos, but it still looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, they're not skimping on the monies for this stuff. So it's hard to say, because She-Hulk is a character who is her Hulk form all the time, but maintains her human normal mind.
Right.
Are they gonna? I don't know if they're gonna do that in the books or in the show or not, but
I'm excited to find out.
I don't know. Probably next year.
Yeah. All right. My next talking point is our first sighting, I guess, seeing of Abomination.
Mm-hmm. You can go ahead. I talk a lot.
Okay. That's okay. You've got more knowledge, so it's like you have more to say than my ramblings.
Fair.
I thought it was cool. I mean, getting past the CGI not being as good as it is now, it is what it is. But it was still cool, and I thought it was interesting the way they did it, and I'm still kind of confused. I mean, I know they did it so that he would look like Abomination, but just the bones coming out of the elbows and the spine. I think the spine thing, I kind of read that it's because they injected into his spine, so that's where the mutation of the spine came from. And I guess it would make sense because they also did it into his other bones, so maybe that's why they were extra protruded.
Yeah, I mean, but
it looked cool.
Yeah, he's a super interesting style. It looks nothing like the books. In the comics, he's much more scaly, and he has like pointy ears. Maybe I'll send you a picture here.
Yeah, I did read about the pointy ears that they wanted to have him in there, but they didn't because I actually read this in 2 different articles that if he had the pointy ears, Hulk would have gone after them and bit them off, similar to Mike Tyson biting off Evander Holyfield's ear. It's like,
that's fair. Okay. That could have been cool though.
Yeah, that was another thing. They thought it'd be maybe a little too graphic for a PG-13.
Yeah.
Which maybe, I guess, biting an ear off is probably not a pleasant sight, but
Well, we did see it in real life, so it's it's kind of hard to say.
I guess, yeah. Just, man, that's a weird guy. Mike Tyson. Yeah, but I still thought it looked cool. I mean,
Yeah, definitely. I just sent
and he was
a
taller.
picture of what he looks like to you in Messenger there.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean he's scaly. He has like not really an armature, but like he almost looks like Killer Croc, just with different facial features. Like he's Hulk-ish size with this sort of scaly plating all around him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The Abomination we got in the movie definitely looked like he had a bigger body to head comparison.
Yeah,
which was a little bit weird. But I did see another article that they kind of wanted them both to kind of look like linebackers. So I'm assuming that was with pads and no helmet.
I would think so. Something like that.
So I guess if a linebacker with pads and no helmet on was to grow like that, that would kind of be the body shape.
Yeah.
Bigger body versus smaller head.
And it just tracks. I mean, it helps them look different so that it's not two green weird monsters fighting each other. They kept them like more or less skin toned or like a mossy green.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably one of the biggest departures in the movies from the books from style, and that's something that's thankfully fixed from this point on.
Right.
But it stands out. It's definitely it makes sense too. Because I mean Hulk is just a big green guy.
Yeah.
And therefore Abomination, because I don't know Abomination's origins in the comics to why he's all scaly and with the ears and stuff. But in the context of this movie, he's just a guy who had these injections into his bones and body. Therefore, and without the big green exposure to gamma radiation that I assume would turn Hulk green, so it tracks. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. Now I don't have it on here, but we should probably talk about the big fight. I don't know why I didn't put it on here. I think I've thought of it at the beginning of my list and thought I'd put it at the end of my list or later in my list, and I just never did.
You're just having list issues,
I guess. But let's talk about the fight. I thought the fight was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what you would expect from a Hulk fight. It's just two giant creatures just beating the shit out of each other, jumping around. It doesn't matter what's in their way. It's not going to slow them down.
Yeah. Well, and I like
cool
how they used their surroundings. Like when Hulk uses the cop car as boxing gloves.
Yes, that
and
was
just
very
beats
cool.
the shit out of him. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. And I like that they were breaking as he was hitting, and they didn't just stay as two cop car
They were like
punching gloves.
shattering in his hands.
Yeah, it was very cool.
And it's brutal too. I mean, Abomination is stabbing him with his bone elbow thing.
Yeah.
And
well, then Hulk freaking breaks it off and stabs him back.
Yeah. I mean, when they're hanging off the helicopter, Hulk has his hand on Abomination's back and he like twists his fingers to like break some of the vertebrae in his spine.
Yeah, just brutal.
Yeah. And it's done in a kind of fun way. It's still pretty dark and gritty, but it's fun enough where you go, okay, yeah, he just snapped off his bone and stabbed him with it. That's cool. But if you stop and think about it, like he chokes him out with a big chain thing.
Yeah, I know.
Practically to death, and has to be told to stop.
Yeah, like has to be snapped out of it to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if these were if they didn't look like monsters, this would have been probably rated higher.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if these were two people, if it was someone breaking someone else's arm and taking that then bone and stabbing them, like that would be R or above.
Yeah,
but since it was somewhat animated and it's a fantasy almost that they got away with it, but it was some brutal fighting.
Yeah, and I love the visuals of them facing off against each other, and there's the fire in the background, so they're illuminated orange a little bit. Like it's a little cartoon video gamey, but it's two big monsters fighting, so it just looks awesome.
Yeah, it was a cool
for
fight.
2008.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it redone. Something
Yeah,
like that. I mean, we kind of do with Hulkbuster.
yeah, and it's one of those things where it's because I mean, even again to separate this movie from the MCU, Hulk looks so different. I
Yes.
mean, he kind of looks different in Avengers 1 compared to 2 and Thor and etc.
Yeah.
But he is completely different in this compared to everything else.
Yeah.
And it's too bad.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
and I get it. A big part of it is they matched Ruffalo. I mean, if
Right.
you look at that Hulk, yeah, it's very much like the books, but it's also very much Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
I just did a giant binge of all the movies, and that scene in Ragnarok when he's watching the video of himself on the monitors in the Quinjet, they match up Ruffalo's face to Hulk's face as he's, falling out of the jet, and it's mirrored more or less. Like
Right.
it is him as the Hulk.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it.
Right.
And shitty CG from, before they got the people at ILM to do it right.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It did help. Technology definitely did some big leaps, I
Mhm.
feel. All right. My next thing is Banner accepting Hulk can be used for good.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of where he's up there, up in the helicopter. And he's like, "Look, the only way you're going to stop him is with me." And I guess you could see that's not really him saying, "Yeah, I can be good," but I took it that way.
Yeah, I mean, and that's they do a nice way of kind of sidestepping the he has full control now
Yeah.
and being like, well, maybe I can't control it, but I can aim it.
Yes. Yeah.
Because usually when I'm Hulk, there's nothing that can stop me, and I just go nuts and kill hunters and stuff. But
Yeah.
in this context, if there's another big monster, I'm going to, whether I'm trying to stop him or save people or whatever, I'm at least going to try and stop the big monster because I'm
Yeah.
the big monster.
Yeah. And you can't stop me with
Yeah.
what you've tried. So
Yeah.
how are you going to stop him? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Abomination in this is actually bigger. I think I read that he's like 11 feet versus Hulk's 9 feet.
He does look bigger.
Yeah.
But
Just
I mean,
looks
there's something in Hulk where the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets, and therefore eventually he just wins.
Yeah. But they didn't do that in this movie. And I read that as a thing that they deliberately did was they didn't want him to get bigger the angrier he got.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember that being a thing, and I was wondering when he was getting his ass kicked, like, is he going to get bigger? Does he get bigger in this? I didn't remember for sure, and he didn't. But I thought that would have been cool to see.
Oh yeah, definitely. And in today's CG, it would be even cooler. Yeah. It all works though. I think it just kind of has Hulk be better at what he does because he's been doing it longer, I guess.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, Blonsky just turned into this thing like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah, they even pointed that out. That's kind of why he stumbles around, is because he's not used to this extra weight and the dimensions, I guess, of his body. And
Yeah.
so you do kind of see him stumbling around. So, yeah.
But he's just
We talked
I
about
love Tim Roth.
I know.
He's just great from the Tarantino days on. And
Yeah.
I could watch him in anything.
Yeah. Well, you can watch him in She-Hulk next
will.
year, like you said.
I'm very excited for that.
We talked about Abomination, where he is now. I would like to see that play out more, which hopefully maybe they will do in She-Hulk.
They have to do something. I mean, it's one of the things that I think is nice about the MCU now, and I think I talked about this in Iron Man and maybe some of the others, is that they've found a way to retcon and make things that have been forgotten more important.
Yes.
You know, with Endgame, Thor going back to the Dark World when Frigga died, that movie then becomes much more interesting and important and worth watching again.
Yeah.
You know, making Gary Shandling a Hydra agent in Winter Soldier makes Iron Man 2 that much more interesting because he's trying to get a hold of Tony's armor. So is he trying to get a hold of it for the government or for Hydra?
Or for Hydra, yeah.
We don't
It
know.
is cool that they can do that, yeah.
Yeah, and so with this...
And kind of in Homecoming, or not Homecoming, Far From Home, with the whole, Tony was rude to this guy, and someone else was rude to him, and looking back, it's like, oh, this is why they turned into this.
Yeah, this is why everyone hates Tony Stark. Like, they have a decent reason. Some of them don't. Obadiah Stane just kind of went crazy, but...
Yeah. Power hungry, I guess.
Yeah, I'm excited. As soon as they announced that Tim Roth was going to be in it, because we knew Mark Ruffalo was going to show up. He had to, but...
Yeah.
When they announced Tim Roth, I was like, okay, finally, after all these years, we're going to have something.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll be the big villain, and we'll get to see another cool fight. Like the two of them with a souped-up Abomination.
Yeah, because now
That'd
he
be
knows.
awesome.
He's kind of... He knows his body more. Because he's a fighter. He loves a good fight.
Yeah.
That'd be
I mean, it's something cool that they've used. I mean, the way that... Because originally, the idea of Blonsky is that he was being injected with a makeshift super soldier serum like Cap. And so that scene in the park or whatever where all the soldiers are running and then he starts running and he just runs right past them.
Yeah.
And is leagues ahead. That's the kind of stuff Cap does.
Yep.
I mean, they show him do it in almost every movie, including Infinity War, where he bursts out ahead and Black Panther's right there with him and everyone else is like, 10 feet behind him.
Yeah, can't keep up.
Yeah, it's just one of those cool connection things where you can look back and go, oh, okay, that's the same as this.
Yeah. And so that's why he can do the same thing they do. Yeah. It's very cool. I love it. I got here, Banner is figuring out how to control his powers. This is almost the very end here where he's kind of meditating, I guess. And you can see his kind of green eyes turn. He's got that kind of smirk on his face. Yeah. So I thought it was cool, kind of showing that, I've got it under control now. I've accepted that this is who I am, and I'm gonna make the best of it. So
yeah, which is not entirely followed through in Avengers, but close enough. Yeah, I think the idea that he couldn't trigger it at will, and they kind of get, and I think it's something smart that Marvel has done, is kind of accepted and then pushed aside all the stupid things about their characters. Like having Iron Man be Tony Stark's bodyguard. Like, they made a joke about it at the end of the first movie, and it was a big thing in the comics. That's what it was.
Right.
And they made a joke about it, and then Tony said, no, I'm Iron Man. And it's like, yeah, there's some times where Bruce can be tricked and manipulated into getting angry enough to be Hulk, but more often than not, he just does it.
Yeah. That's a secret. He's always angry.
That's right. Just like me.
Yeah.
You big jerk.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
It's turning green, everyone.
Hulk always angry.
And just kind of to end it up here, which I thought this was a mid-credits, after credits, but it's pretty much the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Where Tony shows up in the bar to talk to General Ross.
Even better, it was in the trailer.
Was it really?
Not the original trailer, but after Iron Man came out, it was like in the second or third trailer before this came out.
Because some fucking suit said, hey, Iron Man's doing great. Show everyone he's in our movie. I love it. God.
That's the thing. I totally get it. And this was a brand new system of doing things that people, I mean, I still find back when we could go to movies that in a Marvel movie, there'd be people getting up as soon as the credits roll. Yeah, and it's like, how do you not understand 10 years in how this works?
Yeah.
They're not always important, but most of them are. If at the very least they're kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. Every time and it's almost like a bet I do with myself. It's like, how many people will get up and leave? Because it's someone will. There's always one or two people at the least.
I've noticed
It's amazing.
towards the end of the last, couple that people didn't, but yeah, there was definitely a time where it was like, okay, like every time someone or a bunch of people leave.
Yeah. It's funny. All right, well, that's kind of all the talking points that I had. Did we cover the ones that you had, or did you have some more?
I'd have to go back and look real quick. I think that was I mostly just kind of added some detail of things that I wanted to bring up, and I think the cameo that we haven't really talked about is in your fun facts or something. So
okay, probably. I got a couple.
And if not, I'll just try and remember to bring it up again. Because it's the important cameo that we have to talk about in every movie. Oh,
well, yes, that one. I think I have it listed. I hope I didn't just... Well, it's obvious we won't forget. I don't even need to list it.
Sure.
But I did have up here some awards kind of that they got nominated for. Do we want to talk about those at all?
Yeah.
All right. So what they got nominated for... change choice.
A what?
Yes, that's words.
Chin choice.
If you don't know what it is,
they have a great chin. That's like the chin's choice.
I hate you. So they got nominated for that award, and also the Teen Choice Awards.
Oh, that one's good too.
For a choice summer movie in the action category. Some National Movie Awards. They got Best Superhero and Best Performance Male for Edward Norton.
Assumed.
And the Scream Awards, they got quite a few of those. They got Best Fantasy Movie, Best Actor, Best Superhero, both of those are for Edward Norton. Best Remake, which some people say it's not actually a remake, it's a reboot. Someone coined the phrase, I forgot what it is now.
They should have added more coins.
You stupid. But it was a mix between reboot and remake. Mm-hmm. Best line for Hulk Smash. Best comic book movie, The Incredible Hulk. And a Saturn Award. For obviously the movie. Those were all just nominations. I don't think they won any of those or any awards.
And I will say
that's actually a lot more than I expected.
Yeah, I mean it's not a bad movie, is the thing. It's not great, and when you pit it up against what they've been doing over the last, say, 6 years, from Winter Soldier on, you can't compare the two. It's practically apples and oranges, but it's a solid, fun movie.
Just subconsciously doing. Comparing it to all the movies, and it's like, no, you're way down there, buddy. Get out of here.
Yeah, and it's true. Like, if I were to pick a movie out of the entire MCU to watch, it would not be this. If I were to pick a movie from Phase 1, it would not be this, but it's still a good movie. I attribute the MCU to Pixar. Pixar has made some great movies, and they've made some pretty good movies, but none of their movies are bad. They're bad in comparison to other Pixar movies because they have such great movies. Yeah. But you compare it to Shark Tale or, Osmosis Jones.
Okay, that one I can't stand up for that one at all.
So. Or Shrek the Third. Like, yeah.
All right, that's fair.
But I wanted to mention the Hulk Smash. Because this is the first time we've ever heard Hulk talk. Which was a big deal for me anyway.
Yeah.
It was just such a cool moment when they're on the roof. And it's a stupid lead-in of Abomination swinging that big chain thing going, any last words? And then we get Hulk Smash in Lou Ferrigno's, auto-tune voice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Which that is one of my fun facts, I think, or Easter egg. I don't remember where I listed it. They're going to kind of mix together. But yeah, the voice, every line that you hear from Hulk is Lou Ferrigno's voice.
He only has like
that's
3
cool.
or 4, but
Yeah, Hulk smash.
he says Betty in the woods, I think.
I think
Or no,
so.
I think
And the
before he
others.
leaves, he says Betty.
Yeah, and then there's one other that I can't remember now.
Yeah, he says something in the woods. I don't remember what.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to back and forth the fun facts to give you
Yes.
a breakaroo?
Yeah.
Louis Leterrier wanted Mark Ruffalo for the role of Bruce Banner. Smart man. But Marvel insisted on Edward Norton. Ruffalo would go on, of course, to replace Norton as Banner in future MCU movies.
Yeah.
He's done great.
Yes.
He really
has.
has.
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure when they announced him, and I was really hoping for Edward Norton because I'm such a fan. But as soon as I saw him, it was like, okay, this will do.
I accept.
Yeah.
Originally, Abomination was going to return as a supporting antagonist in Avengers: Age of Ultron, but he was cut.
Thank you.
I don't know how far it went.
Yeah.
Like, I would assume that there was nothing filmed or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
it might have just been in part of the story development.
Yeah. It would have been cool.
Yeah,
I don't know how it would have worked, but
it would have been a cool cold open. Like if Abomination had been running around the woods, instead of the twins, that could have been cool.
That would, I agree.
You know, Shield falls, and since he was in Shield custody, Hydra uses him to do some shit. That'd be cool. I'll take the twins though, because then we get WandaVision.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
This is the only MCU Phase 1 film in which Nick Fury does not appear. However, his name appears in the opening credit montage at the 246 mark on a SHIELD page with the text Nick Fury SHIELD Command Code Red, New York, New York, and a bunch of numbers. I'd assume the zip code for New York.
Yeah, it looks too long though, but yeah.
060564. Whatever that is. Something
that's too
New
long.
York.
That's not a zip code.
Just shy of a phone number.
Yeah, it's his phone number. Guess the rest. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
When Banner infiltrates the university as a pizza delivery man, he bribes a security guard, played by Lou Ferrigno, who played the Hulk in the TV series. At one moment, Banner's eyes flash green, and then this is my part that I said. Ferrigno also the voice of Hulk.
Yeah. But do you have this interesting fun fact? Bill Bixby can be seen on the TV screen when Bruce is flipping through the channels at the beginning, when he ends up going on to watch Sesame Street.
Yeah, I think I know I read it. I don't know for sure if I put it in my Easter eggs.
Yeah, the guy...
So when we go to read it, we'll find out.
Fair enough. When the guy gets slapped in the face and goes, "Hey, that's a great punch," that's Bill Bixby. He passed away many, many years ago, so obviously he couldn't be there in person. But that is a scene from something he had done.
Yeah, that's a nice little...
Yeah.
That sounds like an Easter egg, so it's probably in my Easter egg.
I would be amazed if it wasn't, honestly.
Hold on.
It's my turn. Visual effects company Image Engine spent over a year working on a shot where Banner's gamma-irradiated blood falls through 3 factory floors into a bottle.
The only reason I put this in is because they spent so long, over a year, just on that.
Nuts.
Yeah. I mean, it is
a good scene.
I can see at the time, and I can see at the time why it would take so long, because now it's like, oh, that stuff happens all the time. Like, you should see what they can do now.
I did that last week. Like,
right. Yeah, I did it with my phone last week. But I just thought that was interesting. It took them over a year to do that one scene.
That's crazy. And then 4 years later, we have a Chitauri invasion in the middle of New York.
Yeah. There were moments foreshadowing Captain America: The First Avenger.
Good movie.
First, there was a portrait of Steve Rogers, the original Captain America, in General Ross's office. Yep. Next, a label can be seen on the storage tank reading Dr. Reinstein? The doctor who developed the super soldier serum that made Rogers into the captain. Did I write that? Really? Okay. Along with a radiation symbol and the words Vita Rays. hinting that the serum shouldn't be used without them.
True story, because then you get an abomination.
Yeah.
Betty's new boyfriend is Doc Samson, while the doctor working with Bruce is Samuel Stearns, destined to be the leader. Doc Samson is an ally of the Hulk in the comics. He's usually just a big, beefy, built guy with long green hair. During the climax, a bit of Bruce Banner's blood falls into a head wound that Stearns has. His head then starts pulsing and expanding as he gives a sinister smile. So that's the lead-in for him to become the leader.
Right.
Which, he looks much more gruesome in that Prelude comic that you should read. But,
Okay.
yeah, in the comics, he's just a green-faced guy with a big bulbous head.
Okay. Yeah, I did not remember, like, rewatching it, I did not remember that scene whatsoever with his head
Pulsing.
like, pulsing and all that. Like, when I saw that this go around, I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
We don't see this again. Like, who does he turn? Obviously, this is something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you wouldn't just have it because that's not a normal thing to happen. And I just like, so I was kind of disappointed. I was like, well, nothing ever happens with this.
I don't know.
That sucks. Oh, well.
Well, you know, given what our next episode is, which you may forget what it is, but we'll say it at the end, we could talk about some of the things that we would love to see
Okay.
you know, in the future.
There we go.
Some things we may never see, but go.
Yeah.
We'll get to it later.
Yeah. At around the 38-minute mark, Edward Norton's wife... Wait, that doesn't go together. Does it? Yes, it does. Okay.
Yeah.
I got to read the whole thing. It'll make sense, everyone. So at around the 38-minute mark, Edward Norton's wife, Shauna Robertson, produced Knocked Up, 2007. And he wished to have one of the stars of Knocked Up appear in a cameo as a computer nerd. So here we go.
Okay.
The role was offered to Jason Segel, Jonah Hill, and Seth Rogen before Martin Starr was eventually cast. Starr would later make an appearance as another character. I want to say the same character.
Yeah, I think he's the same guy. He might as well
Yes.
be.
Yeah,
Age-wise,
exactly.
it
Might as
doesn't
well be.
matter, so, I mean, he might as well be.
Yeah, this is him in college. Now he's a teacher
Yeah.
in Spider-Man Homecoming, another MCU film 9 years later, which, yeah, that pans out.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Rudd, another actor from Knocked Up, would also later appear in MCU movies as Ant-Man or Scott Lang in the movie
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Good
Yeah,
job.
when I saw the guy when he lifts up the pizza and is like, "Yeah, awesome pizza," I was
Mhm.
like, "Wait, is that him?" And so I had to go and look it up, and it is. It was Martin Starr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife and I just finished watching Freaks and Geeks
Oh,
on
great show.
Hulu, and it has
Yeah.
all the Seth Rogen crew and Martin Starr as one of the kids.
Yeah.
And I had to look
Yeah.
him up because, I mean, he's a kid, so it's like, is that really
Oh,
who I
yeah.
think it is? Like, oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, they are so young in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or
It's a
show. It's a movie they split up into equal parts.
13 episodes
Yeah,
of a serialized show.
that's right. All right, now we're going to jump into some Easter eggs, which, I mean, I'm going to call it the same thing in this episode at least.
Mm-hmm.
You want to start out?
Sure. The Stark Industries blueprints can be found at the opening montage for the sound gun Humvees, which is pretty cool.
Paul Souls, the man who plays the owner of Stanley's, is Paul Souls. It's great writing.
Fair.
He previously provided the voice for the Hulk in the 1966 animated series The Marvel Superheroes.
I did not know that.
And I also read that this could also be, since his name is Stanley, it could be a reference to Stan Lee.
That's what I always thought, but that's interesting.
Yeah, that was my first thought too. I was like, hey, Stanley. Stan Lee. Yeah.
Reinstein, the container that includes the chemicals for the super soldier serum, includes the name of Dr. Reinstein. You made some weird sentences here. The alias...
I know.
Reinstein is the alias for Abraham Erskine, which is Stanley Tucci in the first Captain America movie.
I know why it looks like this, because I copied and pasted, and yeah.
Tisk, tisk, tisk.
Sorry. All right, the next one we have is David on the package that Bruce gets towards the end of the movie.
Mhm.
It has the name David.
Yeah.
And that is because Betty addressed him as David B., a reference to the Hulk's name change in the TV series, where he was called David instead of Bruce. I actually think it was David Bruce Banner, wasn't it?
I don't remember if they used Bruce as a middle name, but I know that they did change his name to David Banner, and I know why,
Okay.
but that's a really sad reason.
Oh.
You want to know?
Okay. Well, I don't know.
It's because they felt that the name Bruce was too homosexual
Oh, God.
sounding.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound like it at all. But
No. I don't get.
Oh,
I mean, it was the 60s, 70s, so fuck
Yeah.
yes. But
that's hilarious.
when I read that several years ago, I went, what?
Yeah, it doesn't. Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of sad. I thought it was sad, like
Very sad.
oh,
It-
sad, like
It's
fucking
not
losers.
sad like you feel bad. It's sad like you feel bad.
Okay, fair.
At around 4 minutes near the beginning of the movie, when Banner is flipping channels on the television, hey, I remember, I think someone mentioned this. One of the shows he stops on is The Courtship of Eddie's Father in 1969, which starred Bill Bixby. Bixby is seen on the screen for several seconds, and he played Dr. Banner in Incredible Hulk, 1977.
Yeah, see if you just shut your mouth and wait.
I
You
want
know.
to prove how smart I am. You should
I
know
know,
this.
you-
We've done a show together for many years.
Yeah, right. All right, well, at around an hour and 4 minutes, after the Hulk appears at Culver University, 2 students are interviewed in the news. One is named Jack McGee, and the other is Jim Wilson. So Jack McGee was a tabloid reporter who attempted to track down the Hulk in the Incredible Hulk television series in 1977. And in the comics, Jim Wilson was a young runaway who befriended the Hulk and was the nephew of Sam Wilson, also known as the Falcon.
That's cool. I did not know
Yeah.
that.
Now you do. You're welcome.
Thank you, good sir. We already did that one like 3 times already, so I'm going to skip that. At around 31 minutes in
Yeah,
the
we did.
market scene in Chiapas, the Lonely Man theme from Incredible Hulk television series, which played whenever Dr. David Bruce Banner, there you go, was on the road
Yeah.
traveling from one place to another, is heard in the musical score.
Yeah.
So it's that da, 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 da. I'm not going to do the whole. I'm not going to do any more because it's embarrassing. But it's
Honestly, that little bit almost sounded like Jurassic Park. Like it could have gone either way.
no, that's. Da, 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 da. But when
Okay,
he
fair.
after he first transforms in the factory,
Mhm.
and he's on the side of roads, and he's trying to buy pants for himself that fit again and stuff. That's the music that plays.
Nice. At the beginning of the film, a quick glimpse of Bruce's known associates appears. One of the names is that of Rick Jones.
I noticed that.
The
This
Incredible.
time.
What's that?
I said I noticed that this time, and I went, "Oh, that's
Oh.
really cool."
Yeah. In the Incredible Hulk comic, Rick Jones was an orphan who drove out onto the weapons testing site on a dare. Rick was unaware that Bruce's gamma bomb was being tested that day, but was saved by Bruce just as the bomb went off. This sacrifice is what caused Bruce to become the Hulk. Rick, racked by guilt for what happened, has stayed by Bruce's side from then on. Where was he in this movie, though? Am I right?
Right. He said, "Screw this noise. I want a bed to sleep in." Loser.
Yeah, he's sleeping on the street? No, thanks.
Yuck. It's cold. The military base, Fort Johnson, is named after Kenneth Johnson, the writer, director, and producer of Incredible Hulk 1977.
Yeah.
Cool. There's a lot more ties to that show than I thought there was.
I know, yeah, there were. I didn't know if we wanted to talk about it because I've never seen the show.
It's boring.
So, but then you said
it's kind of
include it, and I was like, okay.
Well, yeah, they're
Stand
definitely
by.
worthwhile things, and it was a big deal. I mean, it was the same era of Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, and that sort of stuff. Like, it was a huge show. It's just
Right.
boring, and the things that they did to Daredevil and Thor in those TV movies make me angry. They made
You won't
Thor
like
a
me when I'm
surfer
angry.
dude like Aquaman in Justice League. Makes me angry.
Well, speaking of that, at around 9 minutes in the bottling plant, when Banner tries to talk to the girl and the bald-headed goon messes with him, Banner tries to say, "Don't make me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry," in Portuguese, but he can't remember the word for angry, so he says hungry. Mr. McGee, "Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry," was a famous line from The Incredible Hulk, 1997. 1977 also.
That too.
It was re-released in 97.
Just for me.
Yeah. we're making
And
that
we
up.
talked about this at the beginning, but the opening lab scene contains references from the opening credits of Incredible Hulk 77 with the red danger sign, the targeting reticule on Banner's forehead, which is the green cross thing, and the X-ray skull image.
Yeah.
So it's all there,
that's all
man.
the
It's all connected.
kind of fun. It is. That's kind of all the fun facts I could find. There was a lot of
That
cool
was
ones
plenty.
in here.
That was more than I
and
thought
like you said,
could
there
find.
was. Yeah, there was a lot for the television series, which makes sense. Like you said, it was huge, and there was a lot that you could sneak in there, so they did.
Yeah, and I mean, rightfully, the tone of the movie, especially at the beginning, is very much the show. The man on the run thing, that's what that show was about.
Right.
So, I mean, it only makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's all I got. That is The Incredible Hulk. The movie.
We
Not
did
1977 TV series.
2 down,
Yeah.
21 to go. Until they
Oh,
release
boy.
some more movies, and then we got to do the shows and some other stuff. So we'll be here a while.
Yeah. We'll get there. 1 year.
Well, 1 a month. We'll be at the end of phase 2 in 2 years.
Jeez. So stick around.
No, actually, no. We'll be at the end of... Sorry, I said that wrong. We'll be at the end of where they are in the movies in 2 years. Because there's 23 movies as of Far From Home. Pretty sure. So we'll be at the end of phase 3 in 2 years. We'll be at the end of phase 2 in 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I
All
said
right,
that
I'll
very
allow it.
wrong.
That's okay. All right, so what do we got for next week, man? What's our next episode?
Well, Jeremy, since you asked so nicely yet a little forceful, anger, it's Hulk, so I get it. It's fine.
Right. Yes.
We're going to be doing sequel pitches. So the idea here is...
Sequel bitches.
Sequel pitches.
I like it.
We'll have to remember that for when we record next week.
Yeah, we won't.
No, probably not. The idea here is that we're going to take any franchise we want. I think I did like 3, just so you know.
Okay.
And where the franchise stands now, because almost all of these movies have had sequels or are going to have sequels soon.
Not the one we just talked about.
Yeah, I mean, technically, this is going to kind of have a follow-up sequel series with She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So even those plans are, shot to hell. But basically, it's if we could make a sequel to the next movie in a franchise, if we made Black Panther 2, if we made Captain Marvel 2, Spider-Man 3, whatever's still going now, what would we do?
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a
I like
brief
it.
little paragraph synopsis, and we'll talk about it, discuss of 3 movies apiece, sequels that we would like to see, that'll probably never happen.
Cool.
Yeah,
I like it. All right. So that'll be coming out next episode. That's what that will be.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say next week, but
it might be.
I think. Well, I guess when you're listening to this, it will be next week.
Yeah,
so
it will be.
That works.
Yes, it tracks.
Yeah.
We just have to remember to record next week, and it'll be fine.
Yes. We will do that, though. We'll take care of that part. You guys just take care of listening and
Keep
sharing
on
and telling
listening.
your friends and subscribing. And if you want to get a hold of us, reach out to us. We got a Facebook page. We have a Twitter. We have an email. We are Marvel Pod for all these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's Facebook.com/We Are Marvel Pod. Twitter, We Are Marvel Pod. Email, we are marvelpod at gmail. And as I was going to say, find us wherever you listen, but obviously you're listening, and we thank you for that. But if you guys could Give us ratings, reviews.
Yeah.
Share it with your friends. Let others know. It helps us out.
Yeah, the ratings on iTunes may seem kind of pointless, but it really helps us grow in the search engine. So when people are looking for a Marvel podcast, ours shows up.
Yeah.
So, and if there's something you want us to change, if there's something that you want us to cover, we have stuff planned, but that doesn't mean that's what we have to do. So if there's something you want us to talk about, let us know, and we will do that.
Yeah. The only things really set in stone are the movies, and so we've got other episodes to fill, and we've got them planned out. But yeah, like Justin said, if you guys have an idea for us, throw it at us, and we'll see what we can do with it.
Yeah. But until then, we will see you next time on We Are Marvel.
Yeah.
I've been Justin.
I've been Jerry. Thanks for listening.
Bye.